Okay, you guys, so it's time to talk. I've wanted to do video blogs for a long time, but until now, I didn't really try it because I was afraid that I wouldn't be a good enough speaker. However, some things have happened in my life over the past 2 years, and now I have no choice but to do this, I feel. First of all, my name is Kimberly, but I answer to many, many names. You can call me whatever you want to call me. I just hope that you can keep up with what I'm telling you today because it's very hard for me to even get out. And yes, to answer the proverbial question that you guys may be asking yourselves, I am obviously in a wheelchair, at least at the moment. I was born with a neurological disorder called cerebral palsy. I know you guys have heard of it, but I'm not exactly the poster child for what the picture of this condition is. The stereotype for this is that most of us can't speak. I have friends who can't, but I'm very lucky. And most of us are stereotyped as having a mangled sort of appearance. I don't really have that. Another misconception about this disorder is that most people with it are mentally impaired. Again, not true. Many of us are just locked inside bodies that don't move well, and some of us can't communicate. I'm very lucky to be able to speak, and I move moderately well for being in the shape that I'm in. That's largely thanks now to the encouragement of the new kids on the block. It doesn't look like I'm going to get out to see you in May just because of circumstance. But I hope you guys get a hold of this. So, 2 years ago, around the time that I went to visit the new kids on the block, I was embroiled in a legal battle with my landlord at the time. He decided he didn't want to take rental assistance, and I went through a little bit of a semi-court battle with him. I got a couple of lawyers involved, and I got a 6-month extension to be able to stay in my house. That said, though, I was packing the whole time I was there, so if you can imagine it, it was just, I was living in complete chaos. I'm in a wheelchair, and I was up to my neck in boxes. And at the time, I was trying to study to further my teaching degree. I've come to the conclusion now that that's not really where I'm going to go. A friend told me he always felt that I should be a psychologist, and that was my major actually in college. But when I could, I was working with kids. Now, at the time my apartment was being taken from me, like I said, I was in courses to be able to further my education for teaching. I had to drop out because of it. The stress was just too great. It was just a mess. So I called and called and called for help. Um, Being disabled, I have the option to get involved with several social agencies. One of them, whom I'm not going to name, I started calling 4 days after I received my 90-day notice. And they didn't come to help me or send anybody to help me until, gosh, I think the week before I was supposed to be out of there. And so I didn't find a place in the city of Lodi where I grew up to stay. I was shipped out to this metropolitan city called Stockton, where I have worked and gone to school, but you don't want to live here. You don't want to live here. Basically, what happened is my social worker decided that she was going to filter me out to another social agency who sent out their own worker. And I ended up in the ghetto. 2 months ago, I suffered a break-in in this apartment. Thank the Lord I wasn't home. But my apartment was torn up and ransacked, and enough was done to let me know I'm not safe enough living here. I don't sleep here. I can't sleep here. I'm bouncing around between family and friends right now, taking a bed wherever I can take it. I come back during the day to try and clean up the remnants of the robbery, which happened 2 months ago. I live at Polo Run in Stockton, and everybody knows what a bad place this is, I think. Nevertheless, this is what my social worker, who had been vendored out from the other place, chose for me. And at the time, it was under construction, and we were not allowed to see the apartment before I signed the lease. But in the situation I was in, I felt I really didn't have a choice. So the lease was signed. And within the first week that I was living here, I opened up my door to take out my trash. The bottom fell out of it. And this man, under the guise of trying to help me, tried to get in and grope me. Now, on top of everything else, if you know me, you know that I am a survivor of sexual assault. I was sexually assaulted by somebody in my family when I was a child. He was what I call a serial pedophile. And he was 12 years old when he started, and I was 3. So by the age of 3, I had experienced full-on sexual assault. I'm not going to get into the details, but I am a survivor of that, and as a result, I have very severe post-traumatic stress syndrome. Again, I've had lots of help in coping with that. Got to give props again to the new kids on the block. Wonderful guys. You will eventually see me again, but I don't think right now. So because of that, in my early 20s, I had taken self-defense courses and remembered enough to be able to get the guy off of me and push him out the door and lock it. Now, that's my first week here. I had wanted to be all pretty and glamorous and kitschy and have all my jewelry on. But that's not the reality of what my life is right now. And I feel like if I actually sat down and did that and got dressed up, I would be being deceitful to you guys. This is what it is. This is what it is. This is who I am today, right now. This is what's happening. I plan to do many, many types of videos, and you guys will see me in a better state because things will get better. For me, and hopefully for the other people who may be helped by what I'm trying to do. But this is the reality of my current state because things aren't level, and I don't really have a place where I can sleep. And then get up again and take the time I need to get dressed and made up. Among other things, I am working on a book about my life. It's taking a good turn now, but all these things that are going on, they just sort of make it really hard to live. See, the thing with cerebral palsy is that as I'm writing my book and doing different research for the logistics of my condition, I've discovered that we exert 5 times more energy than the average human being of normal ability doing everyday tasks. If I really want to look pretty and decent, it takes me 3 hours to get ready in the morning. And I'm not kidding you. It takes a lot of work. Basically, my reflexes are slowed down, and all of the muscles in my body are different strengths from one another. So they're often pulled out of alignment, and it just takes forever to do anything. Now let's talk about the whole Section 8 thing. I did some research while I was preparing for this video. You have to do that no matter what kind of video you're doing. The Section 8 program, or what's known as that, it began in 1937 during the Great Depression to help families pay their rent. Okay, and then maybe other things, maybe utilities and things like that. And as time went on, it expanded. And in the 60s and 70s, the idea of projects came into play. That is specialized housing units that are specifically for low-income families. Okay, and that's what a project is. It's a place that specifically takes rental assistance. Now, the problem with that is there seems to be a correlation now between projects and crime, and it's been going on for years and years. What propelled me to do this video really is that I asked the question of myself and of the people around me and Google, why? Why is the crime rate so high? People gave me lots of intelligent answers, and some of them included, people having too much time on their hands, and instead of doing something constructive with it, they go out and just turn the other way. They do bad things. Sometimes when people are poor because they're so downtrodden and they don't know of a way out, they are more compelled, I think, to commit crime to supplement themselves instead of, maybe going out and getting a job or what have you. A lot of people are abusing the system. They're not making an attempt to get off of it. But the thing is that that's not always the case. In my case, it's certainly not that. And in my research, the other thing, or some other things in my research that I found out are that landlords, they don't want to take rental assistance for a few reasons. A, they're concerned about their property being torn up, and B, they don't want to deal with the government and having inspections or having to keep up with that. They can't drive up the rent the way that they want. And as it is now, a safe place to live is well over $1,000. Now, the intention of the Housing and Urban Development Program was to find safe places to live for families. But that's not reality. Right now, for a 2-bedroom, the rental cap is $1,000 a month. That is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, I think, that an apartment would rent for that much, but it's happening all over the place. But that's the rental cap. And the reality is, most times you're not going to find a place like that. Or for $1,000 a month that's outside of the ghetto. Because people want money. Just the way my landlord did. And so here I am, sitting here, unable to sleep in my own apartment, with a management service that doesn't care, a maintenance service that doesn't care, having been broken into, and stuck in a place where I feel like if I take the chance sleeping here, I might get raped again. This is inappropriate. It's unacceptable. It has to stop. Just because I am in a wheelchair or somebody has some kind of disability doesn't make us less valuable as human beings. I am perfectly capable of getting out there and living a good life and being strong and helping people the way that I want to help them. But I can't do it like this. Nobody can do it like this. And two women that I know of on either side of me were broken into as well. One was home alone with her children. She was home alone with her children. Why is this okay? Why? Enough. I need help. I need to come home to Lodi. And so many other people who are dealing with this issue, they need to come home. They need to come home to wherever they're from. We need safe places. I want to be a productive member of society. I want to be a trauma therapist for sexually abused children. But I can't be that in an unsafe place. I can't overcome everything alone. And now I need your help. But more importantly, there are people all over the state of California, who need your help. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. I need to leave here. And so many other people all over the state, they need to leave the slums that they're in. So, I mean, that's really all I can say. I hope to be everything I can be one day. The social system is broken. The social system that disabled people have to deal with is broken. The housing choice of voucher program is somewhat broken. The greed of landowners and landlords, it's too much. People are being made to suffer. And to the rest of you who are in this situation, I hope that the world wakes up and we're given the opportunity to be everything that we can. I really hope so.